just a little bit country.
Tonight we have for you one of the most outstanding successes from the field of country and Irish.
His career since has been meteoric. No one in the business has a busier diary.
Will you welcome, please, the Drumlish cowboy, Mr. lan Nerney. Over here, Declan Nerney.
Although a country music star, Declan Nerney is perhaps the truest inheritor of the great showband tradition in Ireland, with his emphasis on live music and a great night's dancing. But Declan's road to success has been a long, hard one. Race night in the Abbey Hotel, Roscommon Town. Declan Nerney arrives to perform his live show. Together with his seasoned musicians, well used to the rigours of life on the road, Declan is one of the most in-demand country music performers.
We're all very welcome. Harry, how are you keeping? Jerry?
His fans have travelled from every corner of Ireland with the certainty of familiar live music and a good night's dancing ahead. He knows many of them personally.
Brady always has a great hug for me every time we meet. And Rose?
For Declan, success is measured by the pleasure he gives to his fans. But while the crowds now come to see him starring with his own band, Declan had to serve a long apprenticeship.
Oh, let's dance all night long. Oh, let's dance all night long. Oh, let's dance all night long. Oh, let's dance all night long.
Very, very nice performance indeed. Nice piece of guitar playing too. My compliments to you.
Far from the bright lights, Declan Nerney has lived all his life on the small farm in Drumlish, County Longford, where he was born and raised. These humble beginnings have shaped his thinking.
There was a great camaraderie between the people. All my neighbours round about were similar, the small type farming, and they all depended on each other. And I think that that dependence has a great bearing in your life.
Declan was a small boy who from a very early age dreamed of being a star. At the age of 5, he won a prize for a song and recitation in McFadden's Travelling Roadshow. But as he grew older, he came under the spell of the show bands who used to visit Drumlish. And most of all, he set his heart on becoming a guitarist. But how would he get a guitar?
Money was pretty scarce at that particular time, and it was scarce in our house, and I'm sure, you know, it was no different than any other house. So the luxury of buying a guitar had never been seen around our house before, so to get a guitar at that particular time was great.
He had to save hard to get his guitar, but he got some help from his parents as well.
This guitar had to be got at all costs, so I saved up all my pennies and had a big jam jar and put the whole lot into the jam jar, every penny I got. And the guitar was bought and the story began.
But once he had bought his guitar, there were still quite a few problems to surmount.
Yeah, I'm self-taught, totally self-taught. I just all by ear, picking up stuff that I'd heard on the radio, on the records being played, and to the bands, when I would say to the Marquee and Drumlish, when I would go there to hear the bands, I would just be so glued to the musicians on the stage and what they were playing, and I'd be trying to memorise as best I could in my head. I'd be whistling to myself on the way home. And maybe if Larry Cunningham's tune had been played on the radio, it was only played maybe once in the day, and you might have to wait and maybe all week to maybe hear it again on the radio if there was a little particular piece that you'd fancy to be able to play.
Declan mastered the guitar so well that even before he left school he was in demand to work professionally, joining Paddy Hanrahan and the Oklahoma in 1972.
He was a semi-professional singer because he worked as well. He worked on board Nimona, and his band, you know, he would have, each night he was going to play, he probably would have had different lads going to play with him every night. So it was great for a young fella going to school because I would get maybe an odd night a week playing with him. and in the band, and we'd be down in maybe Mayo or Cork or Kerry or somewhere, and it was great pocket money, like it was unreal. I'd be going back into school the next day and pulling a fiver out of my pocket, showing it to the fellas in the class that never seen a fiver at all, and it'd be great looking at this. And they thought that I was Paul McCartney or somebody. I progressed from there. Then the Highlows were a Midlands-based band, Roscommon, Leitrim, Longford, and they were doing pretty well. I was performing with that band as I was doing my Leaving Cert, and that was in 1974. So I remember one night we were playing in the Arcadia Ballroom in Cork, and I was coming back home to do my first maths paper the next morning. Imagine that. At 7 o'clock in the morning I was coming up through Ferban and I trying to memorise Pythagoras' theorem. And the luck of it had it that when I went in to do the examination that morning, the first question on the paper was Pythagoras' theorem.
Having done his Leaving Cert, it was now time for Declan to pursue his first love, music, full-time, and he landed a plum job with Gene Stewart and the Homesteaders from County Tyrone.
He would have been in the top 10 bands at that particular time. So there would be a lot of guitar players at that time would have craved the fact to be able to get that position, and I really enjoyed it, and it was great to get that break. And I remained in his band maybe 5-6 years or so.
But in 1980, Declan was headhunted by an even bigger star, Brian Call and his band, the Buckaroos.
Where the willow gently sways.
Brian was touring America, Scotland, England, all of that, and it was great to get into his band, and it gave me a wider scope and again a lot of experience from those lads. A lot of experience listening to them telling about the early days in show bands and the early parts of their lives as well, because there was a great cultural change happening at that particular time.
But during this time, the show bands and country bands alike were coming under some big pressure.
The music industry suffered greatly at the hands of the disco and the nightclubs. I was very fortunate to be playing in Brian Call's band at that particular time, because he was one of the stronger artists on the road that was able to weather the storm. I think it was maybe the toughest time that I've ever witnessed in the music industry.
It's now 10 p.m. in the Abbey Hotel, Roscommon, and the musicians are setting up their gear for the live show.
I'm going to get my guitar tuned up for tonight. It was in tune last night, but sure, maybe it's in tune tonight.
Declan Nerney and his band have successfully met the many challenges to live country and Irish music that have come their way.
The biggest defeat, I suppose, towards live music was the clubs, the nightclubs and the disco. It struck a ferocious blow into live entertainment. Not so much that people weren't going to see the live music, but it stopped new young musicians from taking up instruments and learning how to play. The country at this particular point in time is starved of young musicians that want to play for live gigs in terms of country and Irish music, because there's no platform for them to come out and play.
As a young jobbing guitarist once himself, Declan was lucky to have always been in demand. But being the frontman was the farthest thing from his mind until fate intervened.
I had no great desire to be out on my own at that particular time at all, and it wasn't until we started doing some recordings with a friend of mine from home there who's a big country artist himself now, Mick Flavin, and we went to a local studio in Athlone, and Mick done 12 or 14 songs, and I done all the backing on the songs, and that opened the door for both himself and myself, and it gave me a little bit of a boost and a bit of confidence about being able to produce records and record records.
And the first record he made was Picture of My World.
You're looking at the picture of my world.
One of his first solo engagements in Gorey, County Wexford, was a test of whether he could make a success of going out on his own.
I was advertised as being Brian Call's guitar player, and 35 people arrived to the performance on the night. And when it was over, we used to sell tapes at the end of the night. There would be merchandise or what, which is just the cassette tape. there was 36 cassette tapes sold that night. So 35 people bought. That was over 100% of the people bought. So I knew that those little symptoms like that, little signs like that there told me that there was something better on the horizon and that it was worth pursuing.
Now, time for a bit of music. Over to Gavin to introduce it.
Yeah, in keeping with our tradition of introducing new talent on Live at 3, we have another newcomer today. A young man from Drumlish, County Longford, who has his own band on the road and is singing now about his native town, Drumlish. Will you welcome, please, lan Nerney.
Although he'd been on the road as a band member for over 15 years, when it came to his solo TV debut, for Declan it was like beginning again.
I was leaving dear old Ireland for the USA was bound. My friends and neighbours gathered round, but look to me they wished, as I bid farewell to Longford and my native town, Drumlish.
With a number of his songs reaching the charts, further signs of success came slowly but surely.
I was going to play in halls in the dance halls at that time that we were doing maybe 500 people, and all of a sudden there was 7 and 8 and maybe 1,000 people in the halls. And people in the business then were ringing me up saying, God, you're the #1 now in Ireland, you're the #1 attraction, and all of this was happening.
In 1990, as one of Ireland's top artists, Declan was invited to sing at the All-Ireland football final.
Where I wandered alone in my childhood, reviewing sights I once seen.
To sing at half-time in an All-Ireland final, that was in the 1990 All-Ireland between Cork and Meath. And I think there was something like 68 or 69,000 people in Croke Park, and all the millions of people watching worldwide as well. It was fairly nerve-wracking, though, I have to say. It's lumped my throat. It was unreal, but it was a fantastic moment. It was the highlight of all time. I would say that it was the one.
His TV appearances brought him to national prominence. Declan's fan base is primarily rural, and he ascribes his success to local rather than national media.
Bit of country music for you right now. Tommy Marriott.
Declan Nerney, Daniel O'Donnell, all of those guys that you hear of now would probably never have been heard of were it not for those particular radio stations at that time. You had Breffni radios and you had Midwest radios in Mayo and Donegal's all round about. And those were the people that played our music, that got it back to the people who really wanted it, because you wouldn't have got played maybe upon the national radio stations. I think there's a lot of people on the periphery of it all that don't really understand exactly what the country and Irish music culture really means and how important it is. Looking back down the road, I think that it'll become part of a bigger picture of our inheritance of what our culture was all about.
Having worked hard to establish himself in his solo career, in the 1990s another challenge came down the line that rocked the world of live country music and dance.
It's the biggest craze to hit the country since the moving statues. It's line dancing.
Step right, left, right, hitch 4, step.
There was a lot of country music clubs that the line dancing eradicated. That was another big blow, a huge blow to the country music clubs. Even though it would wear the hat, so to speak, of country music, the line dancing would, it definitely didn't go anywhere to enhance getting more younger people involved into coming into country clubs.
And when we're dancing, it almost feels the same. I gotta stop myself from always whispering your name. She even kisses me like you used to do.
Having high standards of musicianship and creating a unique Declan Nerney band sound have always been important to Declan.
One of the things that I felt that if anything was going to succeed for me was that I got to create a sound within the band. And that's where probably a little bit of musicianship came in more handier than a lot of the lads that were starting at that time. I was able to create my own sound, so the brass hadn't been used in Ireland. Everybody talked about country music as being fiddles and steel guitars and all of that. And I went for a brass sound, more of the old show band style to sound. Plus the old thing going on the guitar with the twang thing and the guitar strings, and that worked.
And when we're dancing.
Plus the fact that I'd say the voice was a little bit unique or different or unusual maybe, and it helped us. I suppose all the bits of unusuality helped. I've got an accordion player that plays in the band Ambrose with me, and he's a way of playing notes on his accordion that no other man in the world has. I think that's just a fantastic ability. It's a fantastic talent to have. And he's a big part of my sound on the accordion. All the musicians, I would take time out to make sure that I'd get each note perfect from them. The band have to be sharp because the people down the floor deserve the best. And the lads on the stage want that to happen too. It's not a case of them saying, well, maybe it's not the right note. They want to play all the notes right and that the thing is perfect as we can get it.
Back in the Abbey Hotel Roscommon, the band are doing a final sound check before they go on stage. Declan's fans have turned up in large numbers, and it is the prospect of a good night's dancing ahead that attracts them.
I'm Tom Webb from Ballyhonus, County Mayo. I'm a butcher, one of the locals down there. I come along to see Declan. It's guaranteed a good night. Declan is the man, the only man to dance to.
Many of Declan's fans here tonight have followed him since his early days in the business.
We actually knew Declan from we played with Brian Cole's band, so it all took off from there, and we travel all at least once a week from that on over the last 18 years.
We originally had retired from dancing through the show band era, and just by accident we happened to go to a hotel and Declan was playing that particular night, and we were knocked out. We were like a band, we were like the Mavericks.
And his fans are prepared to follow him just about anywhere.
We've been in Scotland twice or three times too. We've been in Fungarola once, but anywhere else over the north or all over Ireland, down as far as Killarney, Galway.
There's quite a social aspect attached to it, and we've met a lot of friends, and we make it now as part of our holidays that if he's playing in another country, well, use that as your holiday then, and that's your entertainment at night time.
Many of his fans at tonight's Roscommon race night will join him at his regular Hoolies, or even further afield at his Hoolies in the Sun.
We used to have a fan club a weekend every year, but we've changed it lately to a Hoolie in the Sun, and that has turned out to be a huge success. We bring them out to Spain for a week, and we bring all our fellow artists out as well, the people like Philomena and Larry Cunningham, the people whom I idolised in my life, and we have them on the stage now playing for these people, and it's absolutely fantastic.
It's race night in Roscommon, always a special night, and for all the years that we've been involved here in the Abbey Hotel, there is no doubt about it. One of the best nights, one of the biggest nights, one of the great nights of dancing and live entertainment is provided by our next guest. Would you please give a massive Roscommon welcome for Mr. Declan Nerney!
It's midnight on a Monday night at the Abbey Hotel Roscommon, and Declan's fans need wait no longer. They're ready to dance the night away.
Stop the world and let me off. I'm tired of going round and round. I played the game of love and loss. Hey, stop the world and let me off. Hey, whoa!
One important decision that Declan took early in his career was to stand him in good stead.
Most successful decision I ever made was cutting alcohol out of my life. It has been the biggest curse that has ever happened because you're operating in a social environment at all times. You're operating at a time that people are out socialising, so a lot of the people who come there become very personal friends with some of the chaps in the band or myself, so you've got to go up and maybe have a drink with them. That's where alcohol plays a woeful role, and I think that down the years it has destroyed many a great budding and potential musician and singer. I knew that if I continued drinking at that particular time that there would be no future at all, never mind in the band or anything. So I made the decision, and that's over 20 years ago now, and I've never had a drink since.
This song we're going to do for you next is the one that we had great success with, probably the reason I'm still on the road today. It's called The Marquee in Drumlish. Yeah.
The Marquee in Drumlish has become Declan's personal anthem, acknowledging his debt to the show band era.
Oh, when I was just a little boy, my one and only wish was to get to see the show bands play the Marquee in Drumlish. I'd watch them all arrive in Fred Maggins and McCures, and I wondered what it would be like to be a country star.
The one thing I will say about us all is the country and Irishy styled people just hang on to their own little thing there, and they enjoy the 60s music, they enjoy the rock and roll, and they enjoy everything else. And I think they're the happiest, they're the people that's been pleased most because they have found exactly where their music is. Whenever we get up, when I get up on the stage to perform, whether there's 10 people in front of me or 1,000 people, I would do the same show and I would give it me full ability on the night. Be very thrilled and delighted that I'd done a good show, irrespective if we never got paid at the end of the night. As long as people could come up to me and say, God, you were great tonight, and we enjoyed your songs tonight and your sound, and keep her going.
It is now 3:30 a.m. on Tuesday morning, and Declan is still signing autographs for his very satisfied fans.
Oh, look at me, honey.
There's no shortage of women in this queue, so why did Declan never get married?
Single, free as a bird. It's one of them things. It's for another chapter down the road. I don't know. I've only got to the third verse of that song yet, and there's 65 more verses to go.
With one of the busiest diaries in Irish country music, Declan could be said to be married to the business.
Maybe if the thing hadn't been as successful as it was, and I had to chase it now, being honest, I had to chase the music industry to make sure that I got to make the best of it at that particular time, because I felt that maybe if I didn't chase it hard and fast at that time, that maybe I might have lost it and I would have regretted it later on. And I don't regret 1 minute of having done that.
Round and round and up and down, the wheel of life keeps turning. When the day goes bad, I wish I had never got up in the morning.
Having wrapped up Roscommon race night around 4 o'clock in the morning, only hours later Declan is back in his County Longford farm, the place where he was born, indulging his fascination with old tractors. His contentment is evident, and it's rooted in his understanding that country music is the music that connects with the spirit of ordinary people in Ireland.
One thing about country songs is that you'll always hear the tune somebody's singing, that's my life he's singing about. If you reach 40 years of age or 50 years of age or 60 years of age for that matter, there's some country tune out there that'll sum it all up for you. I've got to see the world. I've been brought on cruises. I've gone to the lovely parts of Scotland and England and Ireland and Spain now, and I never would have got a chance to do that had I been at home with my brother digging potatoes. I've been very, very lucky, and I would never turn me back upon that, and I think it has been a wonderful, great life.
So goodbye, may God bless you on your journey back home. You're in our hearts and minds forever, no matter where we roam. From the US back to Mallow, Castleblenny to Inverness, I'll be seeing you again, my friends. Good night and God bless. I'll be seeing you again, my friends. Good night and God bless.
And a great night's dancing. But Declan's road to success has been a long, hard one. Race night in the Abbey Hotel, Roscommon Town. Declan Nerney arrives to perform his live show. Together with his seasoned musicians, well used to the rigours of life on the road, Declan is one of the most in-demand country music performers.
We're all very welcome. Harry, how are you keeping? Jerry?
His fans have travelled from every corner of Ireland with the certainty of familiar live music and a good night's dancing ahead. He knows many of them personally.
Brady always has a great hug for me every time we meet. And Rose?
For Declan, success is measured by the pleasure he gives to his fans.
Just a little bit country.
Tonight we have for you one of the most outstanding successes from the field of country and Irish.
His career since has been meteoric. No one in the business has a busier diary.
Will you welcome, please, the drumlish cowboy, Mr. Declan Nerney. Over here, Declan Nerney.
Although a country music star, Declan Nerney is perhaps the truest inheritor of the great showband tradition in Ireland, with his emphasis on live music.
And they all depended on each other. And I think that dependence has a great bearing on your life.
Declan was a small boy who from a very early age dreamed of being a star. At the age of 5, he won a prize for a song and recitation in McFadden's travelling road show. But as he grew older, he came under the spell of the show bands who used to visit Drumlish. And most of all, he set his heart on becoming a guitarist. But how would he get a guitar?
Money was pretty scarce at that particular time, and it was scarce in our house, and I'm sure, you know, it was no different than any other house. So the luxury of buying a guitar had never been seen around our house before, so to get a guitar at that particular time was great.
He had to save hard to get his guitar, but he got some help from his parents as well.
This guitar had to be got at all costs, so I saved up all my pennies and I had a big jam jar and put the whole lot into the jam jar, every penny I got. And the guitar was bought and the story began.
But once he had bought his guitar, there were still quite a few problems to surmount.
Yeah, I'm self-taught, totally self-taught. I just all by ear, picking up stuff that I'd heard on the radio, on the records being played, and to the bands, where we would say to the Marquee and Dermish, when I would go there to hear the bands, I would just be so glued to the musicians on the stage and what they were playing, and I'd be...
But while the crowds now come to see him starring with his own band, Declan had to serve a long apprenticeship.
Oh, let's dance all night long. Oh, let's dance all night long. Oh, let's dance all night long. Oh, let's dance all night long.
Very, very nice performance indeed. Nice piece of guitar playing too. My compliments to you.
Far from the bright lights, Declan Nerney has lived all his life on the small farm in Drumlish, County Longford, where he was born and raised. These humble beginnings have shaped his thinking.
There was a great camaraderie between the people. All my neighbours round about were similar, a small type farm, and